All right, welcome back to another exciting episode of Building Your Life. Are we building better lives for people that are out there? I think we are, John. I think we're doing our job.
That's the goal. I was challenged to come up with, the short sort of mission statement or whatever recently. And, we had one before, but as I've been in business for a lot longer now. I've really decided, what I'm trying to do here, whether or not you have a few $1 million, $20 million, or your first 1,000. The idea behind this podcast and really everything that I do is to give you the information that you need to understand what your best life is, understand the risks involved in building it, blueprint or map to building it, and then protecting it.
Mm.
And so many people forget about protecting it, which we covered a few weeks ago with some topics around the insurance idea and how a lot of people think it's an evil, horrible, bad thing, but it serves a place in most people's portfolio. So that's the idea behind what we do. And I think talking about things, whether it's current events or very specific investing strategies and tactics, hopefully that's what we're doing.
And we can do that with or without coffee. Have you ever given up coffee? Because I'll tell you something. I don't know that I could give up. Are you a coffee drinker? Do you like
I
it?
am a coffee drinker, and yeah, it's tough.
I don't think I could. I just have you ever done bulletproof coffee where you're adding like a little MCT oil in it and butter and vanilla and cinnamon? Oh
So
God,
good.
it's so good. Starts off my day. And if I start off my day right doing it bulletproof style, I don't use the bulletproof brand stuff. I just get my own coconut oil and such. And I won't have to have lunch until, I mean breakfast until like 12:30. I'm not really hungry. I guess I have 2 meals a day, and I feel like the coffee is the reason why.
Yeah, I don't know exactly how it works. It's one of those things. I don't know how the plane stays up in the air exactly, but I'm glad it does.
It still goes. It
Yeah,
still
but
stays up there.
I use the MCT oil but I do the same thing. I don't use the brand name coffee, but we use Melaleuca coffee, which is really good, by the way.
Yeah. And
But
are you doing the whole blender thing too?
I don't do the blender thing. I just spoon, stir it up, and I do the whole bean, and I do grind them,
Well,
but
I find if I don't use the blender, see, how do we get on this topic today? If I don't use the
how did this
if I
happen?
don't use the blender, then it doesn't froth. I like a little froth on top of my
Oh, that's
coffee,
true.
so
Yeah, no, it doesn't froth.
so the
That's
cinnamon has a little something to lay upon. So I like
yeah.
that. I like that. I don't know how we got off on the topic of
No,
coffee
we
other
could do a
than,
whole health channel podcast too. As part of building your best life is be healthy,
oh,
right?
that's true. Life can be better. Life is better with coffee. That's how I look at it. Last week we talked about WorldCoin, and at the tail end of that, kind of through some sign language that you sent my way, we should talk about FedCoin this week. And again, I was so new and green about WorldCoin. I never even heard of FedCoin too. So what is FedCoin? How does it differentiate itself from WorldCoin? And is it just that? Is it federally driven?
There you go. Yeah, that's exactly
Huh.
it.
Okay.
And a lot of the depending on what side of the political spectrum you fall on, right? We're going to blame Biden and the Biden administration for FedCoin. The truth is, this all started back in 2019 when the mandate was given by the government that, hey, we want to create our own digital currency. And it first believe, yeah, I was sorry for those of you who are lovers of Trump, but it was called Trump coin when he was president. Now it's called Biden bucks,
What?
and it's really Fed coin, right? That's the gist of it. And I will say that probably certainly for the last 6 months, because it was due to come out in July, and it has. For the last 6 months, I've been getting those emails and those things that pop up on your computer. And I've even seen the ads on TV where the end of your retirement is here because Fed coin is here and it's going to take over the world, get rid of cash. And it was just this fear mongering, trying to get people to come over and sign up for their newsletter or whatever, which I can't stand that stuff.
Well, okay, well, wait, but I'll bite here for a second because I'm curious. how does Fedcoin equate to the end of your retirement? I don't see them as things that are even intertwined. How are they intertwined?
So the folks that are saying that are saying that when FedCoin is introduced, I mean, they were the emails and stuff that I was getting was like, as of July. If you don't act and do something by July,
Right.
then your retirement goes away. And it's just not true, right? It's just plain old not true. The idea is that if we give the federal government yet another form of control through FedCoin, then that means that they will take over our lives, which we were talking about on the world coin type
Right.
thing,
Right.
more of a world currency. Well, on the Fed, that's a little closer to home for us, right?
Okay. Well, when I remember during COVID, there was a short period of time when the company that I was working with, my company, which was a live events company, completely shut down. And it was shut down for probably 6 months or more. And I went on unemployment. So instead of them sending me a check, they sent me a debit card that they just kept filling every month.
Mhm.
So how is FedCoin, like, with the exception of taking away that debit card? How is FedCoin? Is it like WorldCoin in that there's going to be an orb that I have to check in with, or isn't that what they have at the airports anyway? I just give them my license and they can tell what flight I'm on just by me giving them my license.
Yeah, right. And that they have your license, so they have your driver that's tied to your driver's license number and all that, and your picture proves it's you and all that. So that's a little different.
So
But
I'm
the
curious
orb,
how, yeah, I'm curious how FedCoin, what factors of them taking away some of our privacy at all, and how this relates to my retirement is going away. I have no idea if I don't act quickly.
yeah, I mean, frankly, it doesn't. It doesn't
Right.
really impact it. But that was the fear, and I want to let people know that's not the issue with FedCoin. There are issues, and you should understand the risks of those before you maybe dive right in. But also during the whole COVID area in 2020 era, in 2020, you would I know, like in North Carolina, even into 2021, you would go to a place and they were like, "We can't accept cash. We don't have enough." Literally, didn't have enough coins.
Wow.
I don't know if you guys experienced that
No.
where you were, but they were really, the idea was the the Fed, the government here in the United States really doesn't like cash, right? And so one of the things that they were saying during COVID is it's one of the dirtiest things that you can handle because
Right.
it's been touched by like 500,000 people
That would have
probably.
required me actually leaving my house for those 3 years. So I didn't do a lot of that.
Yes. Right. Exactly. And so so it's dirty, it spreads COVID, so we're not going to do it anymore. And of course, there's a huge backlash. And it used to be you could do a 10,000, you can do $10,000 in cash, and that was fine. Well,
Right.
now they're tracking everything down to $599.
Really?
Yes.
Is
So
there is I wonder if that's coincidental that that's the same number that they'll track for employees versus or independent contractors that had to get a W-9 or not.
that's exactly it. That's exactly why. Yeah, because they want to be taxing every single dollar that gets transacted. So you see the farm stands here in Florida, and when we were driving up through Georgia to Oak Island, North Carolina, this past week, and we saw like Georgia, the Georgia peach stands.
Yeah.
You stop there, you don't give them a credit card. You give them cash for a bushel of peaches, and they're awesome. But
That's ever
doubt
making
they're
it
paying
back to
taxes on that. So that's the idea. They don't want like people just exchanging a bunch of cash, and then they don't get to, the government doesn't get to their
I remember
sales tax.
early on in the internet days, there was some challenges with, okay, who's going to collect the tax on this? I live in California, but I'm buying something from a company in Delaware and they're shipping it across state lines. Who do I pay the tax to, Delaware or California? Really, really challenging. Amazon's figured it out now. They charge you where the state that it's actually being shipped to.
Right.
But I remember there was a time when that wasn't the case. I know we're getting a little off topic here, but it's really interesting that this Fed coin, again, perceived invasion of privacy to the nth degree. How much more information can the government possibly have on us? Or don't they already have it all anyway? So what's the difference? I'd rather give it to FedCoin than WorldCoin unless there is a difference in the deliverable or the process.
Well, there's really not, because this is the thing. So right now, when I pay my taxes, I file them electronically. They have my bank account, and if I'm getting a return, it goes right in.
Correct.
If I have to pay them, I just click a button. If you really think that you have to click that button, I think you're a little naive. The government put money in during COVID and it's directly into your account. They didn't ask you permission. They sent you money. You don't think they could take it out? Oh, I
it's
think they probably could.
it's the
But
perceived level of security that you have. Hey, give me your number so I can withdraw the money from your account. Oh, well, you kind of have it already, right? Because if I don't pay my taxes, guess what? You're going to garnish my wages, or you're going to so you have one step further. You not only have my bank account information, you know my employer also, and you'll get them to hold my wages.
that's exactly right. So the idea of Fed coin just makes it. So drop something there. It just makes it easier for the Fed to collect taxes, maybe even levy taxes, and do it very directly, maybe into their coffers, as opposed to letting it maybe go to the retailer first, and to have the retailer pay their sales taxes. Well, they could just do that right there if you're using FedCoin.
I'm
Here's
okay
the
with all this. Am I crazy to say I'm okay with all this? Look, if it reduces the layer of paperwork that needs to happen either between the merchant and the government, or me and the government, am I okay with it? Sure. At what point does the invasion, quote unquote, the invasion of privacy get to be where my brother pays me $1,000 for something that he wants to sell me? Am I paying sales tax on that? It's a family relationship. I'm just paying him $1,000. Or do we have to do that under the table? Or is that something that's excluded? There are so many factors that I would need to know more about in this particular case.
Yeah, I mean, in most cases, because I understand the way that the system works now, I'm okay with it as well. I do like occasionally paying for things with cash because it helps me personally with my budget. And I think it helps a lot of people with their budget. If you only go to the grocery store, I don't know if you've ever tried this exercise.
Go ahead. Let me hear it.
You go to the grocery store with, say, whatever your budget is. Say it's $300.
Okay.
For my family, it would be like $500. But so you go to with $500. If you have a credit card, I don't know if you're like me, but I'm just getting whatever I need. And if it ends up that it's $525, I'm not putting anything back.
Right. Agreed. I'm with you so far.
If all I have is cash and it's $500, I'm not going to overspend my budget. And maybe I'll make a little bit more conscious decision. Do I need those Cocoa Puffs,
I'm
or
with
could
you.
I do without them?
I'm with you. Well, cash is finite. Credit, it seems like it's infinite because you're just using plastic. The question is though, do you use plastic credit or do you use plastic debit? When I use a debit card, I treat it just like cash. I don't want to ever carry cash in my pocket. I think it's inconvenient. It's hard to replenish, but it's easy to replenish a bank account.
Yeah, and it's just going to be, if FedCoin gathers steam and wide acceptance, which is, it's a long way away from doing that, right? It's not July and then we're done. We're going to, that's not happening, right? Way too many people use cash and other forms of payment. It's going to take years, possibly decades. But are we headed that direction? Most likely.
I don't even know if I would consider it Fed coin. It's almost like Fed debit or Fed credit. It's not really Fed coin. I mean, is the government a credit application also? I mean, are they giving you credit? Are they charging you interest? Is it like a credit card with
credit or interest or anything like that? Is strictly a form of payment at this point, and that's where people get all uptight and say, well, what if it becomes, this monster? Which, when you do have the government running things, they do tend to turn into monsters. So I get the
Yeah,
fear.
it's not going to be a small little project. And there's going to be all of these, the money's going to be earmarked because there's going to also be a surcharge to the merchant or the vendor or the person that is using it. It's not going to be free. So there's going to be some
Convenience charge.
Fed coin tax, like a convenience charge. If the government is involved, there will be a tax on it at some point, even if at the beginning it's just a good idea that's convenient for you and helpful for the government to make. Why does the government even need to be involved in this?
Right. This could be done, right, by a private enterprise. And matter of fact, kind of is, right? Because we do have Bitcoin, Ethereum, Cardano, and they all do different things. And they don't just do currency transactions. They also do NFTs and smart contracts and things like that make it very difficult for you to violate a contract. So there's a lot of functionality that they have that the Fed is just, you're not even close. They're just baby steps where the private enterprise is way ahead of them. So we'll have to see. But the main thing I want people to understand, just because the Fed introduced FedCoin does not mean your retirement is going away. It doesn't mean that the government is going to come and start drawing money out of your accounts. If they wanted to do that, or they thought that was a good idea, they could do that anyway.
I think that's called income tax.
I believe it is, yes. And lots of other different taxes. But the key thing is, understand the things that you really need to worry about, and understand the things you don't need. Or don't spend a lot of time, no matter what crazy email comes across your desk that says the end of the world is coming, give me a call. Reach out to me at guardianrockwealth.com in the contact us section. Hey, do I need to worry about this? And we can chat, or text the word life to 321-421-5213. There's so many other things that you probably should be worrying about. The idea of FedCoin and that type of thing, not really one of those things, in my opinion. And this is not investment advice, right? This is strictly opinion and information for folks.
All right. Just have to worry about global warming. That is the only thing left on my agenda.
That's right. Exactly.
All right. Until next week. Thanks again, John, for sharing your wisdom. And for those of you that are in our community that want to hear more or talk more to John, he told you how to do that. Just text LIFE to 321-421-5213. Thanks again, John. See you again next week.
All right. We'll see you next week.